Welcome boys and girls from YouTube. My name is Sloth, this is the Sloth Forge, and thanks a lot for stopping by on today's video. In today's video, I want to talk about that piece of Dragonheir event real quick and give you just my 2 cents on what I would actually recommend you to forge. Because, and of course, please take this with a grain of salt, because there are a lot of different opinions out there, and I don't want to say that those other opinions are wrong. I just want to give you my personal opinion and why I would actually recommend you to forge a chest piece and not a glove. And it is not my personal opinion, it is not only my personal opinion, because actually what I did some calculating, I did the math, and I came up with the conclusion that it is actually recommended to craft a chest piece and not a glove. And I want to talk with you about now why I would recommend you to forge a chest piece and not gloves. So let's get into this. Now first, and this is probably the most obvious one, of course, you want to forge an offensive item. And now the question is, do you want to forge an attack piece, chest, or do you want to forge an item for your crit damage dealers or for your derivative damage dealers? And here, in general, I would highly recommend everyone to actually craft an item for your crit damage dealers, not your derivative damage dealers. Why, you're asking? Because just in general, there are more heroes out there who deal critical damage than heroes that deal derivative damage. And we want this item to be the best. This item is going to be the strongest offensive item on your account for a very long time. Most likely Season 2 and Season 3 as well. So we want to forge the best possible item to make the maximum use out of those items, or this item. So this is why I would recommend you to farm or to forge a critical item, not a derivative damage item. Because in general you have more critical damage dealers on your account and you can use this item on so many different areas. Vortex, Continental Challenge, and then also in the endgame content as well. And of course it depends. If you just have in general so many very strong derivative damage dealers and all your Continental Challenge teams, endgame content teams as well, are heavily focused on derivative damage dealers, then I would recommend you to go with an enlightenment chest. But apart from that, or in general with a derivative damage item. But if this is not the case, then I would highly recommend you to forge a critical item. So either an attack percentage chest piece or a crit rate, crit damage glove. And now this is the big question. What do you want to actually forge? Is it a chest piece or a glove? And now this is the question I want to answer, and together with you. So let's get into this. And the first thing to note here is, for your critical damage dealers, I would recommend, or this is not what I would recommend, but this is quite obvious. There are only 2 very good sets, 2 perfect sets if you want to say so, for your crit damage dealers. It's either the Strike the Unprepared set or the Imposing Presence set. In theory, the Stonebreaker set is also quite good, but this is a set that we only use on a hero that also inflicts debuffs. And our main damage dealer, now if it is Baldel or if it is Rook, or whoever it is actually, our main damage dealer in 99% of the cases is not inflicting debuffs, so we don't want a Stonebreaker set. So for your crit damage dealers, it is the Strike the Unprepared set or the Imposing Presence set. So what does this mean? It's pretty much easy. 2 out of 11 different sets, because there are 11 different sets for chest pieces and gloves. So 2 out of those 11 sets are good for our crit damage dealers. Keep this in mind. I will just show you my calculation in just a minute as well. But so 2 out of 11. And then 1 out of, because there are 8 different stats actually, 9 different stats, I'm sorry. 1 out of those 9 stats, main stats or primary attributes, is good. It is only the attack percentage chest that we want to use on our crit damage dealers. So 8 out of those 9 chests that are going to drop are flat garbage for our crit damage dealers. Only 1 out of 9 is good. If we now look at those gloves, this changes a little bit actually, because once again we have 2 out of 11 sets that are good, but now we actually have 2 good main stats, crit rate and crit damage. And this always depends a little bit. Of course, in general, for Baldel, you prefer crit rate as a main stat, but apart from Baldel, in general, it depends on your whole account. Do you have more good crit rate substats, or do you have more crit damage substats on your account? So this is what determines if you want to go for a crit rate glove or a crit damage glove. But in general, both is very good. Crit damage gloves and crit rate gloves are good. Now, what does it mean? This means that actually 2 out of 9 possible stats, because for gloves there are 9 different, no, there are 8 different, sorry guys, I'm confusing everything here, but on my calculation everything is correct. So there are actually 2 out of 8 stats for your gloves that are good. And this is the very important thing. This is actually the reason why I would recommend you to forge a chest and not gloves. So if we look now at this calculation, the chance that we could get or that we drop, this is the chances to drop something. So the chance that we drop from farming Grave of Rot or Grave of Curse, the chance that we drop a good enlightenment glove. There are 3 different sets for enlightenment and only 1 good main set, namely attack percentage. This means roughly 1 out of 29 runs we are going to get 1 good, in theory, good enlightenment glove for our enlightenment damage dealer. Now for crit gloves, it is actually 1 out of 22. Now of course, yes, I counted it with 2 good main stats, crit rate and crit damage, but in general, 1 out of 22 gloves from the Grave of Rot, mythical gloves, keep this in mind as well, 1 out of 22 mythical gloves is going to be useful. And even if you only need crit rate or crit damage, then it is still only 1 out of 44. Keep this in mind as well. If you only focus on one of those two main stats. But in general, both of those main stats are quite good. If we talk about enlightenment chests, then once again we have a chance of 1 out of 33 to get a good enlightenment chest, because then once again there are 3 different sets, because we also have the death record set, which is quite good, and then we only have 1 good main set. So 1 out of 33 enlightenment chests is going to be good. And then when it is about crit rate, there are 2 good sets, only 1 good main stat, so this is the hardest to drop. If you want the perfect chest for your crit damage dealers, it is roughly 1 out of 50. 1 out of 50 chests that you are going to drop from the Grave of Curse is going to be, in theory, good for your crit damage dealers. And this is the exact reason why I would recommend you to forge a crit chest and not a crit glove. Because as you can see, it is way harder to drop a good crit chest than to drop a good crit glove. So this is my approach. I now craft myself a very good, like a pretty much perfect critical chest, so that now I can just farm Grave of Rot the whole day and just can ignore the Grave of Curse 100%. Now at least for the next couple of weeks. Because yeah, the math pretty much tells us everything that we need to know. It is just more likely to drop a good glove than it is to drop a good chest. So this is why I would craft a chest and then farm for gloves. And yeah, that's it pretty much. I really hope that this was not too complex, that it was not too bad explained. I really tried my best to explain this because, yeah, but I really hope that it was understandable. If you have any further questions, if you have something to add, if you disagree, whatever, please let me know in the comments below, because actually here I'm very, very interested in your opinions. And also, yeah, not only your opinions on what you are going to craft, but also in your opinions, did I do the math correctly here? Or did I do a mistake here? But just in general, I think it is way harder to drop a good chest than it is to drop a good glove. And this is why I would recommend you to craft a chest. That's it pretty much. And yeah, thank you very, very much for stopping by. And I hope that you found this video useful. And that's it for today. See you in the next one.